what's holding you back in your online business and scaling your portfolio of businesses? Hi, I'm Jaryd Krause. I'm the host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast, and today I'm speaking with Broadbent, a good mate of mine who went from a regular job to building a portfolio of niche websites, making him well over tens of thousands of dollars now, and continues to build his portfolio, and he builds and sells websites to the public as well. So stay tuned, there's some cool things. He shares where he sells his websites, he shares how much he sells his websites for, how he builds them up to a certain range and then sells them. We also, at the start of this podcast episode, talk a lot about mindset. You know I love mindset. It's super important being an online business owner to have the right mindset and what it actually takes to stay in this for the long haul and the journey, and how to, continue down the track even with external environment holding you back at times. We also talk about how many sites Carlos started, how many actually has now, how many he's sold. Then we talk about his content creation process. We talk about how he gets content created, what that looks like. We talk about how large his team is, how many pieces of content they're putting out per month roughly, what they do with it. We also talk about how to make money. I share this little thing that Carl could do to grow his YouTube channel for his website and actually making more money from affiliates without him having to create the content himself. So we talk a bit about how you can use video and why video is super valuable for blogging and for your online business, and what Google looks for when they're testing your business to see, you're testing your blog to see if it is a real business as well. We also move into link building, a little bit about the industry, and there's so much value in this podcast episode. I'm certain you guys are going to love it. It's a bit of a longer episode because there's just so much good things we talked about, but I'm sure you're going to see that's absolutely worth it. Let's go. Let's dive in. What's up? This is Jaryd, and I am stoked to have you here. Before we dive into the show, I want to remind you that for a limited time, you can get one-to-one voice note mentoring with me to help you buy and grow your online business. I'm opening up just a few slots of voice note coaching to give you one-to-one access to me via Coachbox. You'll tell me your goals and challenges, and we'll work through them together. I'll ask questions, I'll tell you what I think, and we'll get you ticking boxes and achieving your online income goals. You can message me anytime, and I'll respond within 48 hours. Right now, you can get 20% off by using the coupon code Jaryd, that's JARYD, and I'll drop the link in the show notes so you can find out more. Until then, let's get on with the episode. Carl, hello, welcome back.
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me.
Episode 151 is when we last chatted. So now we're around the 230 range. So it's been about a year and a half since we chatted.
You've been very busy.
Yeah, you've been busy too. Yeah. So time of recording, you would have just had your affiliate gathering event about a month. This will go live about a month or so after that. And the first one was a success. I have no doubt this last one was a massive success. And you're going to do more in the future, right? Obviously, please.
Yeah. Trying to do them annually. We've also rolled out this year smaller, what we call social meetups. So affiliate gathering socials, where we try and get to smaller venues so we can do more events, reach more people. We know a lot of people can't travel, across the world to come to a one-day event. We get that. So we are trying to be as kind of inclusive to everybody as possible. So straight after the event that's just happened, we're doing one in Spain. So Alex from WP Eagle, he's got one in Malaga that he's holding. So we're just doing, and then there's not going to be any speakers or anything at those. They're going to be more just social meetups, just a chance for everybody just to have a coffee together, have a drink, talk shop. You know what we're like, entrepreneurs and affiliate marketers. As soon as you put two of them in a place together, they never stop talking about work. So yeah, just a chance to do that with somebody who understands what you're talking about.
And it's very different in person, right? Like I think it's so valuable to know that you're on the journey with other people. And it's one thing to listen to a podcast and watch a YouTube video of somebody else doing it. Say somebody's listening to us and we're on the same journey as everybody listening. But it feels like there's a massive gap and a massive difference. We actually hold within our community, we have networking and accountability group calls run by some of our leaders in our program. and people just absolutely love it because they get to see that everybody else is doing the same thing, ask one another questions, just hang out and feel so much more comfortable being like a part of a community. And that's just digitally. Like you doing it in person is huge. I know that I'm going to an event in 2 weeks' time with Flipper, and a couple of friends that are going, and then I'm going to be meeting a couple of people from our community as well. But it's just it's way more personal and way more fulfilling in person, right?
You feel more connected and more, friends with somebody. You do a virtual call, as soon as you hit end, kind of it's cut off. And whether
Mm,
you pick the phone up to them again, sometimes it doesn't happen. You always say, yeah, let's jump on a call next week, and it just kind of doesn't happen. But when you're in there in person, you can kind of pat them on the back, put your arm around them, shake their hands. You just feel really connected to them, and you kind of walk away thinking, I've got a friend. That's what I always think. I've got a friend now. The last little social meetup we had was the London one. We went to one in London. About 30 people showed up.
mm,
Some people, one gentleman flew in from Singapore for the day. And just, I got to take his contact details, and I said to him, listen, if you want a little bit of mentoring, whatever, let's do it. Let's help each other out.
mm,
And I learned so much from people there. One gentleman had an email list that was tiny. I thought mine was quite small. I don't actively build it, but his was even smaller than mine. He was making thousands a month. And I was picking his brains. How do you do it? How do you do it? And it was just that connection we made together. We've since commented and chatted, and I wouldn't have made that on a Skype call or a Zoom meeting.
yeah, definitely. It's just the funny thing is a lot of people just think, all right, content sites, blogs, it's just content, ads and affiliate revenue. But there's seriously so much more in it. Like I like to the email marketing, I'm working with a lot of my clients growing their businesses, and tapping into email marketing, you can actually earn so much more than ad revenue just through
Yeah.
email marketing. And you don't need EEAT to promote, to promote things and sell products through an email list. It's
No,
wonderful.
there are some fantastic email lists going around at the moment. In fact, kind of got a little bit of the imposter syndrome recently. Reading some of the email lists, they're so good. Reading some of the emails going out. Niche website Lady has one. John from Fat Stacks has some. There's some amazing emails going round, and their organization and their strategic plan with their emails, you can just see it. It's
Mm,
so clear and so good, and every one of them has a paid ad in the email. Last year my email list made me more money than one of my biggest sites.
mm,
I couldn't sell enough email spaces. In fact, I was kind of running out of things to email about because advertisers were saying, I want to be in Tuesday's edition, get me out in Wednesday's edition. I was like, I only put one out a week. And I just literally couldn't write as many emails to get all those spots in. So
mm,
I kind of reined it back a little bit and started focusing on something else. But yeah, like I say, there's so many opportunities, to make money
mm,
and to grow your business in this space. And that's what I love about it. That's the diversity in this industry is incredible. I'm always wanting to start new, different projects, but I'm always trying to rein myself in a little bit and be a bit more strategic. Last year I was all over the place, so
it's
I'm,
a
I'm
tricky.
trying. I'm trying this year to be focused, but yeah, it's not working. I'm
It's
trying.
very tricky being. This funny thing is people are like, oh, I just wish I was just a natural entrepreneur like you, and that's great. But all of our strengths, our greatest strengths, like, can be our weaknesses and double-edged swords. Like that, like, oh, like I could do this and forget like
Yeah.
the 80-20 of it is like, let's make sure that's good, and then maybe put a little bit of time testing into other things. But it's a it's a tricky thing. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I've done a few interviews myself this last month at the run up to the affiliate gathering, and a few questions I asked in there was what keeps you motivated, and the majority of people kept coming back and saying two things. One was competition
mm,
with themselves or with others. So they
mm,
either wanted to get more views on their YouTube channel, or they wanted to outrank the competition, or they wanted to just beat their numbers that they did last year or last month. Competition was a very strong thing. And then the second point is a lot of people kept saying they felt it was kind of inbuilt in them that they had that drive to get up every morning at you know 7:30 in the morning and do a podcast and things like that. They kind of just said, sometimes I don't think you can teach that. I think it's got to be there inside you, that you're self-motivated and driven, because it is a lonely business. There's nobody stood behind you saying, come on, Carl, you didn't write 3 blog posts today. Get going, get going. There's just me who goes, do you know what? I'll have another cup of tea. I'll do it in an hour's time. And sometimes you don't.
It's a funny thing when you actually start to, it's because you said very similar to me, right? You came out of a regular 9 to 5 job to get into a position where you could do the full-time income. When I was transitioning out and I was making a little bit of money, then I started making a bit more money. And I'm sure that you're the same. And a lot of other people are like, oh, once you start making a little bit more money, you become a little bit more lazy with, it's like, you not that you drop the ball. I know that I just slowed down a little bit. But I think that's a good thing. I think we go through that phase of slow down. And then when you are having that cup of tea, you're thinking about more strategic ways and plans. And coming back to I want to really touch on the motivation for people, because I had a coaching client ask me, like, how did you, when you were going through, Jaryd, trying to find and buy your first few businesses, how did you keep that fire in your belly? And like you said, it's innate in some of us, but I also think that we can draw inspiration and we can build up that fire in our belly with great mindset techniques and strategies. And I think it's really coming back to focusing on that vision. And if you want that vision bad enough, then, and you focus on it, then that's going to provide that fire and that drive. What are your thoughts on that? Because that's the hardest thing, keeping that mindset and keeping that fire and drive to go.
I think that would fall into kind of the competition with yourself category, that you're setting them goals, whether it be monetization, whether that be a career, you want to quit your job, whether your goal is to prove to your partner that you can do it. That was one of mine, one of my drives, which sometimes you're blessed in life where things happen at the right time and the right reason. I was working corporate ladder. I was a trader for a large company. I was doing really well. I started building these sites on the sideline, and I just went into work. And one day I happened to just say to my boss, I've got a website. And we went in a meeting, was going into the meeting with about 30 senior managers. And I was sat in this meeting, and the boss was there, and he had the big screen behind him. And he started hooking his phone up and stuff. And I thought, what's he doing? What's he messing with his phone? He kept looking over and smirking. And I thought, what's he doing? And he says, Carl thinks he's going to be the next Elon Musk. Look, he's built a website. And he put the website up in the office.
No.
And he showed an article to everybody. And it was full of grammar and spelling mistakes. It was horrendous. And I was absolutely mortified. And he did it in a light-hearted way. Everybody was laughing and joking and commenting. And I walked out of there and I thought, right, I'm going to show you. And I went home and I said to my wife, in 6 months, I'm quitting my job. And I told her all about it. And she knew I was building websites. And she says, okay, well, this is what you need to do. You need to prove to me for 6 months you could bring in double your income. So in month 6, you need to be earning double what you are in your job. Then if you quit your job, we've got a little bit of a leeway. So I went back in the next morning. I told my boss, this is what I'm going to do. And he was really supportive. He was like, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll give you 6 months. Carry on working. I'll give you 6 months to grow it. And I want you to prove to me that you have that income. I said, that's funny. My wife wants the same. He said, right, you prove to me and her that you're earning more than you are now. And then I'll consider it. 6 months later, I went back to him and I said, right, there's the numbers. And he said, right, fantastic, you've proved it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on garden leave. So I'm going to take you off the system, but you'll still be in the company. So if it doesn't work, you can come back. That's so I was like, fantastic. So it gave me a little bit of a chance to have a go at it. And luckily it worked out. But I always had that safety net of being able to say to my boss, hey, you were right. It's not worked out. Can I come back? And so I had that safety net. So I think I was very fortunate.
Absolutely. Fortunate is definitely a good word for it, because a lot of people, I think, and I learned this from one of my mentors, does about 60 mil in property every year. And he said, Jaryd, what's more important than willpower is environment. Environment is stronger than willpower. And it can be at times where I had a similar story, and I think a lot of people listening might have a similar story where they might not be in the most supportive environment. I remember when I had two small online businesses, and one of the guys at work we were both supervisors for this plumbing firm. So we're both equal on the ladder, but he said, "Oh, how your business is going?" And I said, "Oh, I've had, pretty bad month." And he said, "Oh, that stuff, mate, it's never going to work." And then a lot of the other boys would give me grief about it. And maybe it's because I was in a construction industry and banter. And we also in Australia, we have this thing called the tall poppy syndrome, where somebody starts to do a little bit successful, we chop them down to make ourselves feel better. That's a societal conditioning thing. And I think having that actually did light a fire in my belly as well. Similar to you, is like, stuff it, I'm going to prove these guys wrong. So that's that competitive fire as well. But having that support is, I would say, far better than not having the support, right?
I think also with others, it's the unknown. It's something, they've not stepped out of their comfort zone. They've not
Yeah.
tried anything entrepreneurial. They've just done their 95. There's nothing wrong with that, but they are so scared to look outside of that box that they just fear that, it's not obtainable, it's unachievable, it's pie in the sky. And my wife thought that, and again, my wife needed the reassurance. I was lucky enough to win a competition with Income School, and Income School, Ricky and Jim flew to my house, and they give me 2 days one-on-one coaching. And the thing that I got the most out of that is they sat with my wife. She had a quiet moment with Jim, and she was like, "Jim, is this really going to lead to anything? Are you just, winding him up? Are you just, leading down a path? Just." And he said, "Right, let me show you some numbers." And he showed her his website and the income and some of the income from their customer base, and he kind of proved to her that the industry is real. And she was like, "Oh, I get it now." She didn't know how you made money from a website. She was
Yeah.
like, "He's got no products. He doesn't sell a service. How's he gonna make any money?" So once he reassured her, I think that gave her the confidence to say, "Okay, I'll support him now," because she couldn't support me with something she doesn't understand. So again, I was lucky and fortunate to have that situation happen.
Yeah, that's great. It is funny to think when people come and say, "Jared, I want to buy a business," what people think about when they think about an online business is they do think a product.
Yeah.
Whereas the product can just be media, and you can put ads, affiliate, all that sort of stuff. Won't dive into that, but I want to dig into the weeds with where you're at in your businesses and your sites. So tell us where you're at. I mean, and I know that you're very open to this, and share what you feel like sharing, and if it's something that you don't want to share, just let us know. But I know that you're pretty open because you do your income reports and stuff like that. But where are you at with websites? Have you bought any? Have you started all of them from scratch? And how many are you running at the moment?
So over the last 4 years, I've not bought a single website. I tell a lie. I've bought some really small, like kind of domain size, where they've just bought it. They've put a little bit of content on. So we're maybe talking $2,000 or $3,000 is the most I've spent. I've not
Mm-hmm.
actually bought a up and running, income generating website. I've built them all from scratch, and I've over the past 4 years. I haven't added it up actually, but I think it's going to be between 15 and 20 sites I've started, of which I've only got, I think, 4 left now. So you can do the maths. I've sold quite a few. I tend to build sites up to a point where they're earning or valued at around $20,000 to $50,000 because
Of
it's kind of
value?
a nice, yeah, sell
Sale
value
price.
of around, yeah. I think the average one, I worked it out the other day, the average was about $26,000 for the sites that I've sold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just because it's a number that's achievable for quite a few people. They can maybe, dip into their savings for something like that. They're not having to take huge loans out for a site of that size. So I find it's an easy size to sell. So I've been building my community and my audience up right from day one. And I
Mm.
kind of knew that I would have or need a community to help me with different projects, whether that be building websites and selling them on, or whether that's launching another product, anything like that. So I was fortunate enough that I've managed to build this community behind me where if I want to sell a website, I literally just go on YouTube and say, "Hey guys, that website I've been building for a year in front of you, which is now earning X amount of money. I'm thinking of selling it. I'm open to offers. Fire me an email. Let's see what happens. And it usually is as simple as that. I usually get instantly 3 or 4 responses saying, I've been watching it for a year. I'll take it over. Yeah, I want to, if you're coming to the end of that public case study, I'll take it over and I'll buy it and I'll offer you, whatever multiple it may be at the time. So that's where I am with the websites. I've also kind of, like I say, launched into other business ventures. So I'm a part owner in a WordPress theme called Popcorn Theme. That's been developed by a friend of ours, and it's fantastic. It's doing really well. It's selling like crazy. So I'm a partner in that. And then obviously the affiliate gathering is something else that I've branched into, which is also, again, it's a profitable business. So I'm focusing on my website still, but I am trying to get into other parts of affiliate marketing and the business.
Yeah, cool. Congrats. Also, if you ever have sites above that 26 or $50,000 site range and you want buyers, people listening to this podcast are cashed up, hungry buyers. So just reach out and we'll be able to sell your site for you.
Yeah, I mean, I do have my focus last year was I went to an event run by Zoic in California, and
Yeah.
I met some of the biggest publishers. I know it sounds cliche, but in the world, these are huge publishers. People are talking things like I was hearing numbers of I'm doing 15 and 20,000 a day, and I was like, oh, page views, and they were like, no, dollars. And I was like, $20,000 a day, and they were like, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I kind of got blown away by the whole industry at that level. And when I spoke to them, one thing that I walked away with was every single one of them that was really, really successful had been focusing on one website. They'd
Mm-hmm.
had it maybe for 20 years or 10 years, or they were all focusing on one website. They had big teams around it. There was no distractions. They just all focused on that one. So I've done that this year. Hence I've gone from 15 websites down to 4 websites.
Mm.
I say 4. One's carlbroadbent.com, which I'll be honest, I don't do too much on. But all my affiliate websites, I've got 3 of them, which they're the ones I'm focusing on. And one of them in particular was going to be my focus. I said, I'll do it for a year, 100% all down in on that for a year. I said that. However, my backup site has took off. It's just flown. So I'm now a bit torn because I've now got 2 that's doing really well. So I can't do that all in on one website. But while 2's going good, I've got to keep working on them. So yeah,
Idea.
I'm active.
I've got an idea. You could
Yeah.
sell one of them and then
Yeah.
take the resources and pour it into the primary one. I'm a big believer in for if we want to grow wealth. To grow wealth, we need concentration. To preserve wealth, we need diversification.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I'm the same. I'm a similar thing, probably to you and many other people thinking and listening. When I first started, I thought, I need multiple businesses because I've been taught if I'm going to invest in things and going to have business, I need diversification. And I went and bought 3 businesses in 3 years and just was scattered, to be honest. And one of them did really, really well. And then I sold off a few and concentrated on one. And I think that's super important for people listening because a lot of people listening, Carl, are looking to buy a business and they want to buy multiple businesses, but they don't realize that focusing on one at one time is where you're going to actually get the results, right?
Yeah. I do a lot of testing, so I'm a big believer in testing and looking at the data and the numbers. So I tend to, when I see something moving, kind of jump on it and kind of go all in on that one project. But if you have multiple ones sat there, they are always on your mind. Whether you think it's distracting you might be saying, no, I hardly ever work on it. You're thinking about it. Your brain cells are ticking over and it's always in your background saying, I should do something with that. And why don't I start building an email list for that? Again, that's just taken valuable brain processing power away from your main project. So 100%, I get it. I like to say out of the 3 sites I've got, one is a public case study and it's definitely coming to the end of its lifespan. So that will be sold very soon. And it's doing decent. It's doing decent money. It's probably, again, it's took me a year to build and it's probably got a $30,000 value on the site. So that's good. It's been a good public case study on YouTube. People have got a lot
Congrats.
of lessons out of it. I've learned some new things out of it, and it's paid for itself at the end. So we've got that. That would leave me with 2 travel sites. And like I say, both are doing really, really well. So I'm fortunate, I have built a team up that can cope with 2. I definitely couldn't cope with much more than that without thinning ourselves down. But my team can definitely, I'm cope with 2. I'm training another editor at the moment. Well, actually, I got to the point where my editor is training another editor. So
Good.
I've got a nice little workflow going at the moment. So you mentioned earlier, one thing I just want to jump back on, if you don't mind. You said kind of like when you're growing sites and you start to earn some money, you kind of get a little bit lazy. The money comes in and you ease off. One thing I've found is that the more money I'm earning, now I don't know if this is lazy, you might be able to tell me, but I'm outsourcing more and more and more each day. And I do feel a little guilty sometimes. I did yesterday. I outsourced something yesterday. I walked away and thought, I could have done that myself. It took me 10 minutes. Why did I outsource that out? But it was like a $20 job. Somebody said, "Hey, can I help?" And I was like, "Yeah, just do it." And somebody's reached out to me this morning for thumbnails. He's like, "Hey, Carl, your thumbnails could be better." And I was like, "Okay, well, I do them. My son does them. We do a bit." And he's like, I'll do them for $8 each." And he sent me a sample of them. Wow, they're amazing. I'm like, $8, yeah, do them. Yeah, just do them. That's another thing off my plate.
I had somebody that was going to partner with me in one of my businesses last year. Great friends with him. Still surf and skate with him and catch up with him. He's coming to the Flipper event with me just locally here. And he said to me a really cool thing. He sold quite a significant sized business on Flipper. And he said to me, the poor spend their time to make money, and the wealthy spend their money to make time. And I was like, wow, because I had this hang up around getting hiring somebody for a certain role. And I was like, wow, if I need to put myself in the wealthy category, and I want to, and I believe I am wealthy in a lot of areas of life, including financially, I need to really get to the next level. I really need to step into that and it's a scary thing, right? It's much like that scariness of, oh, I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna go from work life, corporate career to this. It's a similar thing of like, oh, am I going to pay that much money to get somebody else to do it? And when we do that energetically, we open up so much more space in our life to start thinking more strategically on other areas of our business that are more income generating parts of our business. And yeah, I totally get where you're at, because it's something that I had struggled with and I still do. I mean, I'm not perfect. I still do need to work on myself to get to these other levels. And I think people listening, I think it's a really good thing for them to understand that, we all go through it. And I do want to break down your day, maybe not your day to day, but what your team looks like, and then what your 80-20 is that sort of gives you guys the best results. So what does it look like in terms of team, writers, editors, anybody else that's a virtual assistant, and how does it look?
Yeah, so the team currently is 12 writers. I won't say full time. I give them as much content as we can handle to edit. So that's the issue.
Yeah.
Because obviously at 12 writers, and it's like anything, you build up a team of writers, and when they first start for you, they're really enthusiastic and they're pumping out content, and it's great, and invoices are coming in left, right, and centre. And then they kind of slow down a bit, and then it's out of 12 writers, I expect X amount of articles per month.
Yeah.
And some hit that target and want more. Some are really slow, so it's difficult to judge how much content can come in from that. But at its fullest, we were producing about 300 to 400 articles a month. And it was the invoices and the bills that were coming in was just horrific. It was just constant. It was we're talking $5,000-$6,000 a month income coming in, so invoices coming in.
Yeah.
So the team was quite large. Now I give them 25 articles per month, and for each writer, and then some of them will hit that target. Some will say, "Can I? I've only done 10. Can I roll the rest over to next month?" And I'm okay with that. So we have, so 12 writers. I have one proofreader, and she basically just looks at quality of content and proofreads them. We have one main editor. He is in charge of formatting and making the articles look pretty, adding tables, charts, infographics, things like that. And then now he is training another editor because it's the two travel websites I've got, and we've started implementing multiple affiliate programs. So we were just with booking.com, and now we've added expedia.com and hotels.com. So we're going through all the old posts and we're adding multiple options to book a hotel. So if you see a hotel in the post and the only option was booking.com link, we're now putting 3 links because Google likes you to give people options, and some of the other affiliate programs that we found now have better cookie periods. So there's a lot of work going back in the old post, and it's quite laborious and a little bit boring. So we've hired this new editor, so he's doing that, so that's fine. And then on the video side of things, I have one voiceover lady, I have 2 video editors. They come up with scripts and do the video editors. So in the video section, there's 3 people. So yeah, so proofreader, 2 VAs, 3 in the video section, and 12 writers.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you got quite a content production team there. And what's your take on? I want to get into the revenue generation and stuff like that because your content's one part, and then you got your revenue generation. What's your take on the quality of content versus the velocity of content? What are you geared more towards, and how do you go down the quality route with your writers?
Yeah. Well, we've always been down the bulk publishing method, but not low quality. So it's always been human written. It's always been proofread. It's always been edited nicely. It's always had original images where possible. We now add in a video where possible. So it is bulk content, but it is also of a decent quality. So I spoke to somebody the other day who her website gets like 1.5 million views per month, and she only publishes 4 articles each month, and each one is like world class. And I was just like, you can get to that point when you have some traffic and some revenue coming in where you're not forced to push out, more revenue generating content in bulks. There's a point where you have to get some quantity out there to get some money coming in to be able to say, okay, now we're going to ease back and we're going to really do 6,000 words, world class pieces of content. The average person would be very hard to do that on a new site because they will just see their income coming so much slower in the beginning. They might get a little bit disheartened and they might just not follow it through. So I think in the beginning you have to churn out a little bit more content. But I'm definitely not in the camp of, let's put 1,000 articles of anything out. Don't matter what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not in that boot camp.
Good.
I did get a bit of criticism on some of my YouTube videos where I did some months publish 400 articles. And people was like, it's crazy just banging out any old rubbish. And I'm like, it's not. It's really good. It's human written. They're $40, $50 an article. This isn't, a $5 article, randomly published. This is a decent piece of quality content. And I've always, in the last couple of years, what I've tried doing is, because these are travel websites, I've been trying to narrow the team down to specific regions. So I have writers that live in Canada. I have writers that live in India. I have writers that live in the UK. So each writer kind of works on an area that they're well versed in. They know the area really well. So when you say, Google's looking for EEAT, well, about the best I can do is making sure the article is written by somebody who lives in that country and understands the language, understands the nature of travel in that country. So I think we kind of meeting the authority that way by using writers that are specific to each country.
Also, certainly is going to help you not just with the authority, but the quality of the content. Somebody that actually understands the landscape a bit more in depth, understands the culture a bit more in depth, that can actually share local places for people to travel to and whatnot. I think that's really can help add to the quality of the content. With the velocity that you're doing, how do you work out what articles you do go back and update? Like, what are some of the things that you track with your content to help you to see? And do you even update articles? And if so, how often? But what does that sort of that whole
Yeah,
process and journey look like for you?
the workflow of updating old articles is notoriously difficult and laborious and tedious. It is, and I'll be honest. And I don't know
Yeah.
any website owner who will get on your podcast and say, "Oh yeah, religiously every morning, I update 2 old articles." They don't. They're lying if they say that. It takes a very stringent team in place to do that, and it
Mm,
is something that we will look back on finding new articles and things. Like I was saying earlier, I am very data driven. So we will look at something that has taken off. So ranking things like, if we publish this article, how quickly did Google rank it and how quickly did it send it, to the top 3 positions?
mm,
Google often picks up on a keyword that you may not know, you may not come across. And that's happened recently. My latest case study, it's going so well because of one keyword. I would not have even thought of it in a million years whatsoever. I logged into a tool on Ezoic and it popped up and it says, "You're ranking for this." I was like, what even is that? It's an activity. And I was like, what is that activity? And I looked in it, I was like, okay. So this is a new activity that's kind of popped up around the world and it's starting to grow and outlets are starting to open and it's starting to trend. So I jumped straight on it. So we covered that activity in every kind of country we could write about.
mm.
And it absolutely took off. So we look at data like that and see what's working and what's not, because sometimes you might have this plan, okay, I'm going to write every article I can about the best hotel in California and Disney and all of it, and it just doesn't work. Your website is not loved by Google for that keyword. It doesn't, and you can throw tons of backlinks and money at it, and you might just never ever rank for it. But you might be ranking for something else that's working without really trying. So that's what we do. We look at what's working at the moment for our new content, and that often gives us a topical cluster or authority in that keyword or that niche, and we go after that. We kind of double down on that. The old content, we just look at that. I look at that at the end of every month. I just look at the investment. So I'll look at what we've written and see if something's not working at all. If it's getting less than 100 views per month, I'll look into it and see if it's worth actually spending another $30 or $40 to renew that content. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you just look at it and you just think, it's just a topic I'm not going to rank for. And I can try and I can try, beat my head against the wall, but we're probably, not going to make that article work. So sometimes we just leave it. And I've even got to the point sometimes where I've just taken off a load of articles. If they're getting 20 or 30 views on that article per month, sometimes I've just deleted it because Google's not loving it for that, and I've just got rid of it and focused on something else. But yeah, updating content it's hard. It's hard to do. I hate
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I like that you delete those ones that are not getting much, and it's just adding to your site. It's only, I think, over time it's can drag your site down, where Google's like,
Yeah.
look, you've got some really good ones, but these things are just like, why are you taking up space on the internet for even having those when people are going to get more value from your other articles there?
Yeah, I
So
mean, technically, you're slowing your server down. You're putting
yeah,
weight on, the article. There's links that might be 401. The links that might be errors on it. 404 errors. There could be anything on it. So, there might be Amazon products that's gone out of stock. That's a bad sign to Google. So there could be all sorts happening on that page that you think, well, it only gets 20 or 30 views per month. But if there's all these bad signals, broken links, and things like that in
yeah.
that article, it's actually doing a detriment to you being sat there. So yeah, that's the ones that we kind of get rid of.
Yeah, hugely, hugely. And do you track all of that? How do you track all of that?
Broken links and things like that, we can use tools like Screaming Frog is a really good one.
Yeah,
It'll just crawl the site and it'll pull up everything from titles being too long, maybe missing a featured image, maybe it's missing a meta description. It can pull out things like that. We're actually working inside Popcorn theme. We're actually building a lot of these plugins into that theme now. So it is now capable of doing things like it'll tell you if you've got missing images, it'll tell you word count, it'll tell you if you're missing meta descriptions. So we're trying to build a lot of tools into that because I hate plugins. I'm
hmm
an absolute avid believer of you just do not need probably 70% of the plugins you've got on your website, you probably do not need. And, I get rid of as many as I can. I like to only have about 5 or 6 plugins on my websites now. And I'm trying to build as many tools into that theme so that, people can disable and stop paying some of those monthly subscriptions for a tool that they just do not need.
Don't
Yeah,
work. Yeah. That's a good thing about
just
Ezoic, right? Is Ezoic, you get into their Leap program and you speak to their team, and I know a lot of people that I've helped move and transition to using Ezoic. Ezoic has helped them so much speed up their site, make their site way better with less plugins and just less things going on in their site, and I think it's so helpful.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the, all the advertising companies are really helpful, and they'll all help you speed up your site and get rid of some of the plugins. I think it just takes a bit of, a bit of nerve to go into your website and go, okay, do I just click deactivate on that? What will it do? And they click deactivate, and they go back to the site, and nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And things like
And you've
images.
got a backup
People
as
are,
well. Like you can always
yeah,
revert to a
yeah.
backup from your
You can
hosting.
always reverse the yeah, absolutely, yeah. Little things like, image optimization. People
Mm.
always put, image optimization plugins on their site, and they pay a monthly fee to optimize each image. It's like, how many images have you got? Because I'll be honest, each day let's say we publish 10 articles per day. It's very easy for us just to go into, Adobe Stock or Canva and just get an image and make the file size smaller, reduce it down, and then add it to the article. It takes 5 minutes, and that's another plugin we don't need, and it's another monthly subscription we don't need. So
Yeah.
just taking that care of optimizing your images before you're putting them on the blog post, then it just means you don't need another plugin. And people say, oh, it saves you so much time. It's like, if you're publishing hundreds a month, I
Yeah.
get it, but if you're publishing 4 a day, you cannot spend 10 minutes to optimize your images. That seems crazy.
And it should be a part of the process that the content team is doing in
Mhm.
the production of it anyway.
Yeah.
So when it comes to creating these pieces of content, how much emphasis do you give and put on the writers to do competitive research?
Well, my writers are at the stage now where I'm fortunate that they're all quite established and they're all experienced with me and our processes and things like that. So we don't put really specific guidelines in there. We don't say here's 25 keywords and here's an A4 sheet of instructions for each one. They're all experienced enough now to kind of understand what I want and what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
My editor is really good at spotting things. In fact, just before this call, I just jumped on an email because I can see he's pulled one of my writers, and he's amazing. He screenshots everything and he links it. He says, you took that sentence from that website. I don't know how he finds it, but he's
Wow,
like, you
that's
took that
great.
sentence from there, and you haven't cited that it's their quote, and if we're going to do that, we need to highlight it, and it's fantastic. So.
Mm.
But as far as instructions go, we only really give them instructions and examples right at the very start if we're hiring a new writer. We've made quite a few videos as well, so I will send them links. I'll say, this is how I want you to format the article to help the editor, and I'll send them the video so they can watch how to do that.
Mm.
It's all about kind of giving feedback, really, because the more feedback that you give, the less work you'll have in the long run. And I know for a lot of people, it's really hard to give that feedback. It's really hard to go back to the writer and say, I'm really sorry, but you've not included any bullet points or H3 or H4 headings in there. I can't
Mm-hmm.
see any quotations. You've not highlighted or bolded any keywords. And it's really hard for a lot of people to do that. But trust me, majority of them will come back and say, oh, great, thanks for the feedback. I was wondering if you wanted that. Now you've cleared that up. I'll do it. I was going to do it anyway. And you're like, whew, and it just saves everybody so much
Still
work.
there?
So it's so much better to give them that feedback early, and it just saves that snowball effect of, either not getting the content how you want it, or your editor having to do more work. So, I'm keen on that because as it goes down the pipeline, the kind of this chain of command, the invoices for them doing that work gets more expensive. If you know what I mean. So I'd rather the work be done at the beginning where the cost is quite low, because once it gets to the top of that chain, when my editor's having to go in and correct things, that gets expensive. So you have to make sure that
Really
feedback
good
is
point.
constant.
It's a really good point. Whenever you do hire somebody, and I've hired somebody that I've been training for almost a year in our business and working with him so much, and we have so much contact because he's going to play a big role in the business. And even for a writer, the more prep work that you do when you first hire them, like the more onboarding, the better the onboarding process is, the more they understand your brand, the more they understand what you want, and the more quality assurance you make sure they go through. What you're actually doing is you're setting them up for success. And when you set them up for success, you set your business up for success. And whenever somebody is employed, I know for myself, all I want to do to go to my boss is go to my boss and say, what do you what do you want exactly? What do you want it to look like? And how can I make you happy? And when you do that, and when you provide that to your worker, everybody wins.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do because people are, they seem almost kind of ashamed to ask a question, to actually say, Jaryd, I don't actually quite know what you want from this interview. Tell me right from the start, what are we aiming for? What's the outcome? What's your goals? Because I want to provide that for you and your audience. I want to talk and satisfy you and make sure your audience is good. So sometimes it's difficult to say that, and I think it's so important that we learn, to communicate that, both good and bad as well. I'm a positive, I'm a real believer on giving all types of feedback, whether that be positive or negative. You just got to do it in the correct manner. I sent an email out recently, actually a video, saying about feedback, giving feedback to your team, not calling people out on a group chat, but saying, hey, we'll pick that up after the conference, you know what I mean? And doing feedback in the correct manner, because feedback is hard to give, and if it's given incorrectly, it can be a nightmare. Words cannot be unspoken, so sometimes you got to be very careful how you do it.
I even ask, and I came across this, and I think it was a realization when I had this discussion just on the weekend around taking the ego out of us building our businesses like I built this business, thinking about, well, the business only exists because there's human beings that need to consume our media or buy our products. So it only grew because they existed and they wanted it. And we only were able to evolve our content and our media and everything that we do based on how they react and how they behave. And if we actually, what I like to do in my membership, and even people listen to the podcast, if you have constructive criticism, just tell me, because I want to give you guys what you want. And the more that I give you guys what you want, the more you win and the more that I win.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave some criticism to a company recently because they were sending out this email, and I noticed something that was in it, and I noticed what they were doing in their company. And I hear things. I'm in the industry. I have, boots on the ground. I have ears in the field. I hear it, and I kind of just fired him an email because I know the owner, and I just said, I know he's not actively in the company. I know he owns it, but he's not active. And I just said, hey, been getting this from your company, and I think you just need to be careful with the direction you're going. And I see what you're saying and what you're doing is contradictory, and it just doesn't feel right, and it's being picked up in the industry. I can hear the rumors. I can hear people talking about it. Maybe it's just something you want to look into. Check into the company. Have a word with the manager. Maybe you want to take a look at what's happening. And I got a really crappy email back, just saying something like, "We've got this. Don't worry about it." And I was just like, okay, and it was just like, I was like, I would rather somebody say that to me, that something's wrong. I had a real life example the other day. I had an interview with Carolyn Shelby, and I was using AI to generate some, some clicky, catchy titles, and it came up with one. I thought, oh, that's really good, and I just put it in my video, and I didn't kind of realize the undertone the title had. It was kind of referring to her as if she's special because she's a female, if you kind of know what I mean. And I read the title and I was like, yeah, she's special because she's Carolyn. It's not special because she's a female. And I was like, okay. And it pointed somebody, a good friend, a big person in the industry called me out of it and said, I love you, Carl, but I hate that title. It has some implications in that title. And I was right. I was like, do you know what? You're right. It was late at night. I was tired. I banged it on. I haven't thought about it. Thank you for the feedback. I instantly changed it. And I just thought, that's great. A lot of people would be worried about that. Oh, Cal's been called out in a video. No, great. If
It's
she
because you
thought
don't
that,
have an ego though, Carl. Like it's like
yeah,
you get like you are in business to do good, and if somebody's going to tell you how to do good, you're going to do it. Like you don't know, like
yeah, yeah.
like I
I
say
mean,
to everybody, challenge everybody, challenge me,
yeah.
challenge you. Like it's what
Me-
it's,
You
you're
was
going to
you
make
was
yourself
mentioning
better.
earlier about growing a business and people having egos because maybe they want to say,
Mm.
I've grown this website to X amount of money. I've grown this business. I don't care who grows my business. I just want my business to grow. I'm happy to go on YouTube and say, hey, this website's making $10,000 a week, and I've done nothing. My team has done it all. They are
Yeah,
amazing. I'm
yeah,
happy to do that.
yeah. Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's funny. It comes back to, and I've talked about this so many times. People like to call them the self-made millionaire or self-made entrepreneur. It's actually literally impossible because whenever
Yeah,
you just listen to a podcast episode, a YouTube video, read a book, or hear some piece of advice from anybody, you're getting help from somebody. So yeah, it's just an ego thing. I want to touch on the videos.
yeah,
So you do video production. Obviously, there's scripts, not talking head videos, of course. I'm guessing you've got B roll and images and stuff like that with a script and a voiceover. And then what's your strategy with that? Are you posting those on YouTube, and is YouTube driving traffic to your site for affiliate revenue, or driving traffic straight from your YouTube videos to affiliate links? And is it a combination of both? Like having video in the pieces of content, embedded in the pieces of content to add more value as well. So yeah, what's your strategy
yeah.
with the videos?
So with videos previously, so I'm talking maybe 6 months ago, it was all just Carl Broadbent and it was all my videos. And a lot of them are talking head videos on my YouTube channel. Basically me just talking about what I do in the industry each day. And I've always said I don't teach anything. I really do not have any courses. I don't teach anything. It's just a case of I'll show you what I'm doing. If it works, you might want to try it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Don't blame
Mm-hmm.
me. It's just what I'm doing. That's
Mm-hmm.
literally all it was. In my websites now, it's only in the last 6 months I've really got into video because I just had this, I don't know if you call it an epiphany or whatever. Just one day I just said to my wife, how many articles have you read today? She was like, what? I was like, how many 2,000 word articles have you read? I searched on Google and read an article. She went, I don't think I've done any. I said, right, okay. I said, how many videos have you watched on YouTube, TikTok, whatever? And she went, oh, loads, loads. My GHD hair curlers weren't working. And I jumped on and I quickly, and I'm like, exactly. I said, well, they were all video content. She went, yeah. And I just kind of thought, I'm like, well, why am I publishing 0 videos per month, but 400 blog posts? And I kind of thought there's a shift going on here. So I didn't want to
Mm.
get left behind. So that's why I started building a team of editors, video production people. And that's why we're focusing on that. At the moment, the strategy is we are taking our most popular articles if they warrant it, and that's key, and then making a video around that. And then we're putting it on YouTube and we link the two together. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
strategy for that is I want Google to see that we've gone the extra mile. I want Google to say, okay, they've covered this topic with, let's say, 3,000 words, but
Mm-hmm.
they've also gone the extra mile and put their own images on there, their original images. They've also made a video. Wow, they've made a video, and there's a video on there. Sometimes we might even put an audio file in where they can just listen to the blog post.
Mm-hmm.
So just doing that extra thing so that Google can link the two things together and see that we're actively really pushing our business, because that's Google is not as smart as people think. Google just looks for signs that you are a real business. It is
Yes.
literally looking for signs that you are a business. If you had a bricks and mortar shop, let's say you're opening a surf shop, right? What are you going to do when you open a surf shop? You're going to get a telephone line and you're going to register that under the company name. You're going to put up and advertise your opening times. You're going to do that. You're going to take
Mm-hmm.
insurance out on
Mm-hmm.
your business. You're going to do all the things that a business would do. Why is it any different for a website? And that's what Google's looking at. So Google's looking at them signs that you are treating it like a company.
Mm.
Again, if you had a surf shop, you would be on social media. You would be posting your videos of you surfing, doing all that. You would be doing that. And that, again, is what Google's looking for. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted the videos on there, to add power to the website and let Google know, hey, we're taking this website serious. We're not just publishing content and forgetting about it. I do want to get into video content where it is more product focused. I do want to do that. I would like to get to the point where the channels are earning enough revenue or through affiliate clicks or through through views on YouTube, through Google AdSense, rather than them just backing up the website. I would like there to be two entities going on there, but at the moment they're not. The channels are just backing up the blog post, really.
Yeah, and there's a cool strategy that you could use. I dare say, I know YouTube. We do okay from YouTube with our channel, but the ad revenue is not a thing. And I dare say the affiliate revenue that you generate will be far superior. But I think a cool strategy for YouTube videos and affiliate is teaming up with brands that offer adventures and asking for some of their content and rights to use some of their content to promote them on your channel and link to them, so you can get content from the actual adventures or the experiences that might be in local areas that promote their thing, but you do it as an affiliate, so you get free content and you got basically not free videos. You have to edit them and all that sort of stuff, but then you don't need to pay for somebody to go out and do the experiences and stuff like that. I think that's a really cool way that you could do it without having to spend too much money on getting content created for the videos.
Yeah, see, exactly. That's the reason why I like to meet up on calls, meet up in person, because you get the little nuggets of gold like that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And imagine how you can repurpose that content. It can be used on TikTok, it can be used on Instagram. It's everywhere. So no, that's absolutely fantastic. And the travel industry, there is a lot of people. I mean, it's fantastic. You just reminded me. I have 2 or 3 YouTuber friends who are in the travel industry that do that. So it'd be so easy for me to go, hey, I've never thought of this. This would be great. Yeah, it is to say, hey, film me a little bit of content and I'll promote your channel, but I get a bit of video content out of it as well. So there you go, Jaryd. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. and or they may already have the content there that you can say, hey, just if you're happy for me to share a bit, then we can both make money. Then you don't need to get content. You don't need to create the content. You just edit some and chuck some affiliate links, and they win and you win. So cool.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, like I say, the reason I did the affiliate gathering was to do that, to what we've just done, to have these conversations, to get them little nuggets of information, because you just don't have that sometimes in a group setting online where you can get it if it's a very small or personal group, but that actual meeting face to face or one on one gets you them little bits of information. So yeah, it's fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, let's check in a year and see how that goes. Oh, there's one more thing that I do want to speak about is those pieces of content that you see like, oh, these are deemed worthy having videos, or these are deemed worthy, adding a bit more to it and pumping it up because it's doing quite well and it's doing a lot of traffic. All those ones that maybe underperforming a little bit that you feel like, oh, the content is really good and it's better than the competitors, but it needs something else, and that might be links. Do you do any link building?
The only link building we do is Haro. It's the only links at the moment I feel worth the value.
Mm-hmm.
I've spent tens of thousands of dollars previously getting, DA 20 and 30 links, and it's just that none of them hold much value at all. The only ones we're finding that are doing anything are Haro links, where you're getting links from DA sites 70 and above.
Yeah.
One link from something like that will be the equivalent to 20 or 30 smaller links. So that Haro links is the only ones we're doing, and we're not doing that ourselves. I am outsourcing it because, again, it is a time suck. It is really, really draining to do Haro. It's sending out dozens and dozens of pictures each day to hopefully get one accept you. So that is a cost. It is very expensive, but I do feel that is one cost that is worth it. And we don't go overboard. I try and do 5 per month per site.
Cool.
So that's the amount I do. The other thing I worry about with Haro links is that the majority are coming from newspapers or online publications and things like that, where they only link to your homepage. They won't link to individual articles.
Yeah.
So sending 30, 40 high-powered links to the homepage each month looks a little suspicious. It looks a little bit over the top. Google
Certainly.
might go, wait a minute.
That's not
Naturally, they only
natural.
got,
Yeah.
yeah, unnatural for sure. Yeah. So I just think 5 is absolutely fine.
Hmm.
And I would rather spread the anchor links, the anchor text as much as possible. But Harrow doesn't do that. Most of them just go, no, we just put in there, it's X.com company. That's all we put. So that is a little bit of a worry when doing that.
I think that's a great strategy, honestly. Some people just go crazy, and I see that happen with people. We won't get into it, into the discussion too much, but into this particular topic. But some people went to velocity with just articles and putting so much, and have been able to use certain tools to go velocity publishing, like just a lot. And then Google's, you're publishing 1,000 posts a month. That is not natural
Yeah.
for Google to
Yeah.
see, like, why, how this is not what we want. We want you
Yeah.
to maybe create 5 to 20 amazing pieces, not 1,000 crummy ones. Google is, yeah, smart in that way.
Well, Google looks for patterns. I've
Mm.
been blessed to have a few conversations with people very high up in Google. One was a couple of years ago where I think the guy had a little bit to drink, and he was just like, he was in the comments tweeting or something like that. And I was like, you guys say so much in the comments, but you never have these conversations face to face and really prove your worth, sort of thing. He was like, okay, jump online then. I was like, well, and he sent me a link, and I jumped on, and he was one of the original founders of the algorithm program. He's one of the original programmers, and he works at the highest level in Google on their algorithm program. And he said, it's as simple sometimes as somebody has put a 0 where a 1 should be. And I was like, what? And he was just like, you think this is really complicated? He said, yeah, but if your site if there's an algorithm an algorithm update, and you're thinking, oh, they're very strategic, they're very done that. He said, there's a lot of internal things that's happened that you don't know. Somebody may have got a new job post and he's trying to prove himself in the company, and he's playing with things, he's changing things, and it hits us hard, but we don't realize the internal struggle that's going on. He said, and it's just simply somebody's accidentally put a 0 where a 1 should be. He said, and that's it. And then they reverse it. Somebody finds out it hasn't worked, and they reverse it next month, and they do that. And he was just saying so much about that kind of thing, which kind of blew my mind with actually how we look at Google and how we look at our business and how we look at SEO in general. And I think sometimes we look too deep and think start thinking and making up stories about what's happening. They're attacking me, they're going after me, they're going after that. And sometimes it's just a case of, it's just, Google's got it wrong, or they'll roll it back, or there's an error. So yeah, it's quite interesting stuff.
That's a cool story, Carl. I'm a big believer in that. A lot of us, I think, in the content site space, get very granular,
Yeah.
and don't come back and have a good bird's eye view of, like, oh, like, these are the main things. This is the 80-20, and get too lost in, like, the tech of it all and the granular things. So, Carl, this has been so fun to chat. I'm glad that you came back on. I'm sure we're going to do it again soon. I want to send people to your YouTube channel so people can check out, you talking about what you're doing with your sites. What is the name of your YouTube channel? So we can link to that.
Just go on YouTube and just search Carl Broadbent. You'll find me. It'll pop up for most things related to niche websites. And I do have carlbroadbent.com is my website. Like I say, I'm not as active as I should be on there. But yeah, YouTube is where I'm mostly active.
And Carl Broadbent, you can get to the affiliate gathering. You've also got a link to affiliate gathering for people that may want to go in 2024 as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody couldn't attend the 2023 one, we do have a digital version available to purchase. So you can go to the website affiliategathering.com, and there will be a link on there, probably on the homepage, where you can purchase a digital copy. So you can watch what's gone on. We're going to record all the presentations, dozens of workshops going on, networking zones, all the backstage gossip, things like that. So we're going to put a presentation together, a digital copy, so that if you couldn't travel and see us, that you will still get to feel part of it and maybe learn something as well. But yeah, it'd be great if anybody can come out to the next one. We try and do them annually here in the UK. It's only a one-day event, but I think it's really valuable that people can try and attend in person. I think it is. I think that's the key thing. But it is a big stretch. I went to California recently, and it was one of the biggest things I've undertaken. I'm not a traveller. I really are. I tend to stick to the UK, but yeah, I travelled to California, so I know how much of a big deal it is. But I came back so inspired. I came back with so much enthusiasm for the industry and the way I run my business. It was valuable for me to go to that, and I'll certainly be traveling to more myself.
Yeah, awesome. It's good that we can do in-person stuff now. Everybody that is listening, thank you for listening. Check out the links that I'll be posting in the show notes so you can check out Carl, what he's doing with the affiliate gathering and all the things that he's got going on. Yeah, thanks for coming on again, Carl.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hey YouTube watcher, if you thought that video was good, you should check out this video here on the 2 best types of websites beginners should buy. Or check out my playlist on how I made my first 100K from buying websites and how to do due diligence. Check it out. It's an awesome playlist. You'll enjoy it.